of my mentors, pillars of Kansas, Senator Bob Dole and Senator Pat Roberts. Listen, I can't wait to get started today. I'm honored to be here. I look forward to earning your support.
Very much, Congressman Marshall. Next up is State Senator Dr. Bollier. You have 3 minutes for your opening statement.
Good afternoon. I'm Barbara Bollier. First, I would want to acknowledge what a hurting time it is for our nation as we have this loss of a great woman, Supreme Court Justice Ginsburg. I also want to acknowledge what a big loss it is for Kansas that we had to cancel our annual state fair, especially for Hutchinson area and our rural communities. The Kansas State Fair has been held every year for over 100 years. It's more than just a fair. It's a great, great opportunity to celebrate Kansas, a very important tradition for us. It's also a big part of Hutch's economy and a chance for people of all ages to learn, share, and be together. I'm heartbroken that we'll miss this event, as we've missed so many others this year due to the pandemic. But I'm confident that we can overcome this virus by working together. And next year, we'll be back at the fairgrounds. You know, I will miss having this traditional fair with spectators in the grandstand in Reno County, but I'm really grateful for this opportunity to share a bit about myself and my priorities with the people of Kansas. I'm a mom, a doctor, a state senator. I went into medicine to improve people's lives and went into public service for the very same reason. I've dedicated my life's work to my patients, my constituents, my community, our state. In the Kansas legislature, I was a leading advocate for expanding affordable health care, fully funding our schools, investing in rural communities, balancing the budget, and keeping taxes low. I have a record of standing up to both parties if they are doing the wrong thing for Kansas. But I also will work with anyone if they are doing right by our Kansas families. And that's exactly what I'll do in the U.S. Senate. This is a difficult and historic time for our country. We need leaders in Washington who will stop the political bickering, stop attacking one another, and just get things done. That's always been my approach. Listen, look at the facts, work with others, and solve problems. That's why I'm endorsed by Senator Nancy Kassebaum and nearly 100 other Republican leaders in this state. They know I will be the independent voice of reason that Kansans need in Washington. Thank you.
Thank you very much, State Senator Bollier, for your opening statement. We've also determined the order of the questions that will be asked by the media panel, and due in part that State Senator Bollier went last in the opening statement. The first question will be directed towards Congressman Marshall, and the first question will be asked by Kelly Lenz, farm broadcaster with WIBW Radio and the Kansas Agriculture Network. Kelly, your question.
Greg, thank you. And before I ask that question, I want to say a special thank you to Alpha Media, Topeka, WIBW Radio. This is a tradition that we began 35 years ago. And it's become not only probably the premier debate in the state, but it's become a major highlight of the Kansas State Fair. All right, my question is really two parts. One of you is going to fill some massive shoes when it comes to agriculture. Senator Pat Roberts has been the foremost person working on ag policy for over 3 decades now. I think it began around 85 or earlier. He is resigning, and somebody is going to fill his spot. We anticipate that Senator Moran is going to try to take over Robert's spot on the Senate Ag Committee, but we can't be sure of that. Would either of you be willing or interested in being on that committee?
Congressman Marshall, you have 1 minute to respond.
Kelly, it's great
great to hear your voice again, and I miss being at the state fair with you and Senator Roberts. But look, my first choice is going to be to ask to be on that Senate Ag Committee. And I always tell folks, one reason you should vote for me is because I can actually sort heifers and steers. Growing up in agriculture, I've had great experiences throughout. My wife and I still invested in agriculture in so many ways. And the experience that we're bringing already, working with Farm Bureau, with KLA, all the ag organization really puts us in a sweet spot for that. Certainly the senior senator and I have had these conversations, and I look forward to that. But I don't know why my opponent would want to be on the Ag Committee. She's actively works against farmers, that she fought against Kansas Farm Bureau Association's Healthcare Association plan, and that's their second biggest concern. When we fought hard for MFP money, the tariff money for our farmers, she posted a discouraging remark about that. So I would assume that my opponent does not want to be on that Ag Committee, that she's out of touch with Kansas ag values.
All right. State Senator Bollier, you have 1 minute to respond.
I will be the replacement on that Senate Ag Committee. Agriculture and our rural way of life are a critical part of our economy and our identity as a state. I've been standing with Kansas farmers for over 10 years as a Kansas legislator. I helped pass 2 statewide transportation plans, a 50-year water plan, and more funding for rural broadband. I've called out the EPA's regulatory train wreck under Obama and urged the use of sound science in agricultural policy. What Kansans need to know and understand about the real difference between Congressman Marshall and myself is not our level of ag expertise. It's our level of respect for people of different backgrounds and our ability to work across the aisle to find real solutions for our Ag Committee. I look forward to continuing that legacy of the Dole Roberts production of what's gone on our Senate Ag Committee. Thank you.
All right. Congressman Marshall, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal.
Look, I just hope folks look at my opponent's voting record, her liberal voting record, her activism against farmers, voting against the Healthcare Association plan, as well as the tariff money. Look, when the Democrats, when they were in power, they gave us waters of the U.S., and now they're going to give us the Green New Deal. The Green New Deal will be the end of Kansas agriculture, the end of the Kansas beef industry as well. And my opponent chose to leave the Republican Party and join the Democrats who represent her values. She joined them after they came out with their Green New Deal. She does not represent Kansas agriculture values.
All right. Next up for their question, Jennifer Lasky, Associate Editor with the High Plains Journal in Dodge City. Jennifer, your question.
Good afternoon. We know that ag and ag-related industries support 245,000 or more jobs, or 12.7% of our state's workforce. 25% of the nation's meat supply comes through our packing plants. Feedlots, large dairies, our farms and ranchers all need reliable labor, and much of that today is from immigrants. If elected to the Senate, what policy would you propose or support that addresses the immigration challenge that faces our country today and allowing them a shot at their American dream while still keeping in mind rural Kansas's role in U.S. food production?
State Senator Bollier, you first can respond. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. There is no clearer example of how broken Washington is than on immigration reform. Voters are fed up with inaction, decades of it. I support secure borders so we can keep our communities safe, and a legislative solution for dreamers who were brought to this country through no fault of their own, and a bipartisan reform package that balances national security with the realities of our present circumstances. One thing is clear: Washington gridlock is the reason that we have a national crisis at our borders. My opponent has done absolutely nothing to contribute to an atmosphere of working together to solve these problems. 1 in 10 Kansans who work is an immigrant. We are dependent on this labor, and I will be very supportive of making sure people have that path to citizenship. Thank you.
Congressman Marshall, you have 1 minute to respond.
Well, Jennifer, you're certainly right, just how important agriculture is to Kansas. And this issue is one I have tried to work on since the day I got to Congress, that I believe in secure borders and fixing a broken immigration system. The first thing I did when I got to Congress, I sat down with every Democrat member in the Ag Committee, talked about agriculture and their important issues on the broken immigration system, and we twice got policy on the floor to fix that situation. But my disappointment is the Democrats do not want to fix this situation. They don't want to fix DACA. They do not want secure borders. And I just have to remind folks that my opponent left the Republican Party in favor of the Democrats' values. The Democrats do not want secure borders. They're the party of open borders, sanctuary cities, defund the military, and defund the police. And those are just totally out of touch with Kansas values. And that's why we need to make sure that we keep a Republican Senate majority so we can maintain our security. Look, any fix for immigration, if we don't secure the borders, is just going to lead to a circular firing squad.
State Senator Bollier, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal.
You know, we need leaders in Washington who will put partisan politics aside and do what's right for Kansans. Nothing is more important in America than keeping our borders safe. And this priority must be reflected by immigration reform, which has not happened yet. And we need this. I agree that our immigration system is broken, but we need people who will work together to find solutions. It's going to take a bipartisan solution to fix it, and I am known for my bipartisan work. Thank you.
All right. I do have to remind myself, give a little time so Dan Johnson, our timekeeper, can keep in front of everything as well, keeping time for the questions. So our next question, which will go to Congressman Marshall, comes from Tim Carpenter, reporter with the Kansas Reflector in Topeka. Tim, your question.
Thank you. I want you to both make the case for quickly voting in the Senate on a replacement for Justice Ginsburg, or for following the policy set in 2016 by Senate Republicans to wait until after the presidential election.
Congressman Marshall, you have 1 minute to respond.
Look, this is why this election is so important, that we need senators that are going to confirm conservative, constitutionalist, pro-life judges. Look, I'm encouraging the president to bring his nomination forth. I'm encouraging the Senate to act upon it. This is so different than 2016 when we had a Democrat president and a Republican Senate. Right now, we have both of those. Look, America elected a Republican president and a Republican Senate for just this time. This is our time to do what we keep our promises and to move forward with one of the folks that President Trump has on his list. This is an important time in history, one we can't get wrong. That's why the stakes for this election are so high.
And State Senator Bollier, you have 1 minute to respond.
I take the nomination and confirmation of a Supreme Court justice very seriously. It's one of the Senate's most notable responsibilities. The Supreme Court is one of the most important institutions of America. It shouldn't be politicized. These are lifelong appointments. This election that's underway in Kansas now, Kansans should make their voices heard. And the leaders of the Kansas that are elected in November are who should be voting and deciding, confirming who will be filling our vacancy in the Supreme Court. I believe that the Senate has plenty to do in the meantime. They need to pass additional relief and funding for Americans struggling with this very, very difficult pandemic. And most importantly, keep in mind, we should not be politicizing our Supreme Court, one of our three branches of government.
And Congressman Marshall, you also have 30 seconds for a rebuttal.
Look, our Senate needs to move forward to confirm a conservative, pro-life, constitutionalist judge who will apply the law and not write the law. This is what Americans sent a Republican majority to the Senate to do. Look, 2016 is so different than today. You'd have to go back to 1880 to see a time when a Republican Senate would have confirmed a Democrat senator or vice versa. This is not 2016. Republicans were elected to do just this. We need to stand up and do our job.
All right. Thank you very much, Congressman Marshall. Next question will be first answered by State Senator Bollier, and it will come from Michael Schwanke, anchor and fact finder 12 investigator with KWCH-TV in Wichita. Michael, your question.
Great, thank you. And thank you to WIBW and both candidates. Wish we were at the fair, but here we are because of this virus. So I want to talk about the response to coronavirus on a national level. We hear conflicting messages. Do you have concerns the vaccine is being politicized by either party? And as physicians, do you have concerns as to how it will be distributed, especially to rural Kansas?
And State Senator Bollier, you have 1 minute to respond.
You know, the challenges we face because of this virus are historic, and it will take nothing short of historic actions to overcome them. We must continue to do things like support our workers and have ones that don't have jobs to return to yet. And we should extend unemployment benefits to make sure that they can benefit and have their ability to pay their rent. And obviously, we need to provide additional assistance for small businesses. As far as the vaccine goes, I have been very disappointed in our federal response to this vaccine by politicizing it. It should not be politicized, but I look forward to an FDA-approved vaccine. We know that the way we will get through this pandemic is to